Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Val Wilson, and I'm one of the many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable 12, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, our staff, our advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. And you can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. So today is Thursday, February the 11th, and this banner is for tomorrow. It's Friday, February the 12th, 2021. And the front page of the banner this week, we have Open for Business. Manitoba announces gradual reopening plan for places of worship, restaurants, and gyms, by Aaron Devereaux, Neepawa Banner Press. Over 3 months of sacrifices from all Manitobans has finally paid off. On Tuesday, February the 9th, the provincial government announced that it is taking a gradual step forward, further loosening COVID-19 related restrictions on Friday, February the 12th. The new orders from the province will permit restaurants, tattoo parlors, gyms, nail salons, and libraries to reopen at 25% capacity. Places of worship, meanwhile, will be allowed to hold indoor religious services at 10% capacity or 50 people, whichever is lower. It's a big day for Manitobans. Premier Brian Pallister and Dr. Brent Rewson, Manitoba's Chief Provincial Health Officer, noted that the changes to the public health orders take effect at 12:01 a.m. Friday morning. Pallister added that these are cautious changes to ensure the continued protection and safeguarding of Manitobans' lives. Today is a big day for Manitobans, especially for our local business owners who are eagerly regular safety reopen their doors and provide the goods and services that Manitobans have missed this past few months, said Pallister. But with fewer restrictions, we must remain cautious. In fact, even more cautious. In the absence of COVID-19 vaccines from the federal government, following the fundamentals is how we continue to protect each other and save lives. We certainly can't let our guard down. The orders include the following changes with further pandemic safety measures in place. Allowing restaurants and licensed premises to reopen at 25% capacity, with patron groups limited to members of the same household only. Allowing outdoor sports facilities to reopen for casual sports, as well as organized practices and games, with multi-team tournaments not permitted. Allowing gyms, fitness centers, and yoga studios to reopen at 25% capacity. Allowing allowing indoor sports facilities such as rinks, gymnastic clubs, martial arts studios to open at 25% capacity, individual instruction only. Allowing places of worship to hold regular religious services not exceed 10% or 50 people, whichever is lower. Allowing self-help groups for persons dealing with addictions or other behaviors to hold meetings at 25% capacity of the premises where meetings can take place. Allowing museums, art galleries, and libraries to operate at 25% capacity. Allowing personal service businesses such as those providing pedicures, electrolysis, cosmetic applications, tanning, tattooing, or massage services to open at 25% capacity. Allowing photographers and videographers to offer services to individual clients or those residing in the same household, in addition to providing services at weddings, with the exception of visiting clients' homes. And allowing the film industry to operate fully with physical distancing and other safety measures in place. The UK variant has arrived while the majority of news From the Tuesday press conference was positive. There was one additional item discussed, and that could be of concern. Dr. Rosen said that the province has recorded its first case of the United Kingdom variant of COVID-19. He said the case was linked directly to travel, and there is no evidence of it spreading. We certainly can't let our guard down, said Rosen. We will continue to carefully monitor COVID-19 developments and case numbers to ensure we protect each other and our healthcare system. Manitobans need to continue to follow the fundamentals at all times, including staying at home when sick, frequent hand washing, and wearing masks. We all have our part to play in keeping our COVID-19 curve down so we can continue making measured progress towards getting things back to the things we love. As of February the 1st to February the 7th, the province has handed out $48,712 in fines over the last week to people and businesses defying COVID-19 public health orders. From February the 1st to 7th, a total of 99 warnings and 39 tickets were issued. 159 warnings and 56 tickets last week. This week's numbers include 1,296 tickets to people for various offenses, and 6 $298 tickets to individuals for failure to wear a mask at an indoor public place. There was also one $5,000 ticket to a business and one $1,750 ticket to a person for the Federal Quarantine Act. Since enforcement efforts began in April, a total of 2,857 warnings and 938 tickets have been issued, resulting in more than $1.3 million in fines to businesses and individuals. The active COVID-19 case counts over the course of a recent 7-day period from Wednesday, February the 3rd to Tuesday, February the 9th, there were 39 new COVID cases reported within the Prairie Mountain Health District. That is a notable drop from the 70 cases that were reported last week. The total current cases in Prairie Mountain since March 2nd, 22nd, since March are 2,026, with 1,910 of those recovered and only 64 currently active. There have been 52 deaths in the region. Brandon has the most active cases in the Prairie Mountain Health Region with 18, though that amount is down from the 31 they had last week. Whitemud, which encompasses Neepawa and surrounding communities, has 2 active cases compared to 0 last week. Provincially, the northern region currently has the most active cases with 709, while Winnipeg's current cases are at 534. So on the travel and entertainment page, we have a junior bingo planned for Family Louis Riel Day by Ken Waddell, Neepawa Banner Press staff. With Family Day, known in Manitoba as Louis Riel Day, coming up on Monday, February the 15th, NACTV bingo organizer Val Wilson noted that a lot of kids have been playing bingo with their parents and grandparents. So why not have a special free junior bingo? Wilson said there are still under heavy restrictions for many winter activities, and maybe the kids and family members might like to play bingo. The event will be on NACTV at 7 p.m. on February the 15th. It's a free bingo, but businesses and organizations and individuals are offering some very nice prizes. All people have to do to get cards is contact Val on NACTV Bingo Facebook site or phone or text at 204-841-0448. Over the past number of months, the regular Wednesday night NACTV Bigger Bingo has increased in sales volume 4 times. And due to people having to stay at home so much and due to the tireless efforts of Wilson and her helpers in getting cards out to players. The bingo is a major fundraiser for NACTV, which is a non-profit organization that has operated in Neepawa for 40 years. NACTV is run by a local board and is located at 432 Mountain Avenue in the Neepawa Banner Press building. So you can contact me, and I have cards available. Right now, we have over 60 children signed up. So that's not in the paper. I'm telling you that because I'm the one that's organizing it. So if you know somebody who would like to play on Monday, you have them give me a call, and I can set them up with cards. A sweep into the past. And there's a picture here of some curlers out on an outdoor rink with curling rocks made of makeshift stones made out of tree trunks and metal handle insertions. The exact date that this picture was taken is not known, but from the style of clothes the boys were wearing, it is likely between 1900 and 1920. And to see more about curling, see Helen's article on page 6. So this week, our Bigger Bingo on Wednesday night coming up. Last night, the Bonanza was $8,321. The letter X was $150. The blackout, 52 numbers or less, was $2,862. The toonie pot is going, rising weekly, and it is now $6,851. And again, you can get Bigger Bingo cards for every Wednesday, 7 p.m. on NACTV from myself at 204-841-0448. Now we're on page 4, and it's called Perspectives. Call the Volunteers. The Wife Takes a Turn by Christine Waddell. Wars are fought on the battlefront, but they are won at home. The volunteers at home supported every battle or war to the point that without them, all would have been lost. The U.S. Civil War had the Sanitation Commission that saved thousands of lives. During World War I, there was a Red Cross knitting. And if you were a beginner or a child, then it was simple scarves. If you were experienced, you knitted socks or balaclavas. World War II saw a repeat performance by thousands of volunteers and their knitting needles. War bonds or victory bonds raised millions of dollars, sometimes pennies at a time. The people of Britain tore up the rose beds to plant gardens and saved every scrap of food to fatten a hog to starve off malnutrition. At the evacuation of Dunkirk, it didn't matter the size of your vessel or your experience level. You answered the call, knowing the risk. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers were saved by people sailing little boats. During Neepawa's July 1st flood, volunteers drove trucks, brought food, dry socks, filled and loaded sandbags. Our latest war or battle is the COVID-19 global pandemic, an epic battle at home and abroad. In this battle, it seems our soldiers, our enlisted paid workers, were on their own. It wasn't because volunteers weren't willing or able, it's because they were shunned out of the way. Volunteers were swept aside in a tidal wave of bureaucratic stupidity. Instead of being able to help the healthcare soldiers and perhaps save lives, the soldiers were left to fight on their own, and many lives may have been unnecessarily lost. Yes, making masks and doing our individual bit by social distancing, reducing contact, and being kind, giving up birthdays, normal family celebrations of life and remembrances of past loved ones. That all helped, perhaps. But that core of volunteers who are attached to every personal care home and hospital I have been in, we're told to stay out. This core, or should it be corps in normal times, took the weight off the enlisted paid staff or foot soldiers. Federal Government Cabinet Minister Shelley Glover, with her experience and commanding presence, now has the ear of the mainstream media. She has given those volunteers who were denied the opportunity to assist a voice. The story of being the lockdown denial of entry to assist is well known. Many volunteers cried out, "Put me through the screening process. I'll help push wheelchairs. I'll bring a cup of water. I'll hold a hand. I'll pick up which is out of reach and bring a comforting word." Vulnerable, sick, and dying people don't need more rules. They need compassion. Our volunteers are not ignorant of the requirements and responsibilities of these times. So why, oh why, did we not use our volunteers, that precious resource that has won battles for us over the centuries? Volunteers are sung as heroes in normal times, and they have the experience and often have the time. Why were they punted in this horrible war? The area where the battle losses have been the battle losses have been the greatest, where the victims of C-19 were the greatest risk, trapped and unable to make their own decisions or understand the cause of disruption in their lives, was kept almost void of volunteers. It is kept, not was kept. That is the area where we left the enlisted to struggle shorthanded as families stood at a distance, watched the enfeebled and elderly suffer. That is where we denied the home front their rightful place in our latest war. May people rally around Shelley Glover and every other volunteer in our communities to ensure this mistake not only stops happening, but never happens again. Thank you, Chris. That's quite a good, takes a turn. Now we have Homebodies by Rita Friesen. Time. There's a number of quotes about time. This one came up in my gratitude journal. The bad news, time flies. The good news, you are the pilot. It is an interesting time to embark on this daily writing, for the questions are more challenging to answer in this time of isolation and seclusion. And each day begins with the opportunity to record what elicits gratitude. That, for me, is easy. I have enough. Enough food, shelter, love, freedom, support. I have enough. The purpose of this journal is also to promote growth, mental and spiritual growth. Questions like, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Well, right now, perhaps I can change that type of cereal I have each morning. Or, what you got excited this week? True challenges to find the extraordinary in the very ordinary. I am thankful, grateful that I am the pilot of my time. Never have I had as much time to consider time as I've had this past year. And it has been almost a year since the virus has dominated the news and our conversations. The time has passed quickly. It has, for me, flown. It's Sunday, and then it's Sunday again. I missed Easter. Thanksgiving was toned down. 2 people I missed, Christmas, and Lord willing, I will have toned down birthday. The days, the weeks, the months smoothly glide by. May it not be years. When I look back at this year, the year of the pandemic, the unprecedented year, how will my craft have navigated the time? For I am the pilot. The downsizing began several years ago, and there are a few items in my home that I am now willing to part with. Some extras are gifts from those who love and know me. Some are things of beauty and fill my heart just seeing them on the shelf or the wall. There are empty shelves in the kitchen cabinets, the storage closets, and space on the rods in the bedroom closets. The holiday albums are in order, years of paper shredded. I have used my time moderately well. That is my physical world. And there have been a few books that I have read and reread, books on joy, on inner peace, on life. Few books of fiction. I have avoided the books of the survivors of both the Holocaust and the residential schools. There will be a time when these books will call for me, but not now, not in a season that is already shadowed with gray. I have found the music of 2 Manitoba artists that speak to me, speak for me. It has become my custom to listen to their words and music first thing in the morning, and I am amazed at how the chords echo and resound throughout my day. Contact with friends and family have become precious gifts. I am satisfied with how I have piloted my craft for spiritual growth. And that leaves the physical world. And now, to be honest, this world of mine could stand improving. The walking has been easy, as has been the eating. And I need to speak to the pilot on that topic. So that was nice. Thank you, Rita. Respect the People and the Process by Neil Stroshine, Faithfully yours. Every so often I read or see something that makes me shake my head and wonder who wrote those words or posted the video. What were they thinking? That happened a few weeks ago when I came across a YouTube clip posted by a minister who, in a Sunday morning service, openly berated those in his congregation who voted for Joe Biden, predicted 4 years of doom, gloom, and open attacks on their church and faith tradition, and then openly asked them, "What have you done?" What they did was simple. They registered to vote. On election day, they went to their local polling station and voted for the candidate of their choice. And as in every election, there are winners and there are losers. The winners assume office and hold it until the next election, and those are the rules by which we select those who govern us. In a democratic society, one fundamental right must be respected and preserved at all cost. And that is the right of every citizen to cast a secret ballot. In other words, no one can tell you or me how to vote. And once we have voted, no one can force us to reveal how we voted. And furthermore, it is inappropriate for anyone in a position of trust or power to verbally berate or otherwise punish those who did not vote for the candidate he or she supported. We must respect the process, even if we don't like the results. Comments like the one referred to above, and there were just more like it from other sources, don't just sow disrespect for the process by which our leaders are chosen, they also show disrespect for the people, the voters who took part in it. Ours is a diverse society, and we come from different backgrounds. We have different differing social, political, and religious views, We work at different jobs. Some are professionals, some work in trades, and some are laborers. Some own their own businesses, and others are involved in service industry or protection services. As a result, we each have a unique perspective on the social, moral, economic, and political issues of the day. During an election campaign, we listen to candidates' presentations and vote for the ones we feel will represent us in government. And after the election, we have opinions on proposed government measures. We must share them with the person who has been elected to represent our district, whether or not she was the one whom we voted for. But there are two other things that we as people do of faith, we are expected to do. First, see Romans 13, verses 1 to 7. We are to be subject to our leaders. Subjection to St. Paul means two things: obeying the laws that governments enact and paying taxes to support the services that they provide. And the authorities that exist, he says, have been instituted by God. And as people of faith, we are to submit to their authority over us. Second, see Timothy 2, verses 1 and 2. We are to pray for them, so that according to St. Paul, we may lead a quiet and peaceful life in all godliness and dignity. The scriptures do not paint a rosy picture of the future. They tell us that evil will increase and affect every part of our society. Our only protection against anarchy and widespread disorder is fervent prayer for those in authority, and whether or not we voted for them in the last election. By doing these two things, we show our respect for the process and the people who took part in it. And as people of faith, we can do nothing better. So we do have an observation today by Addie Oberlin. The other day, I wanted to replace the light bulb in my nightlight. However, the bulb slipped out of my hand and exploded on the kitchen floor. It splintered over a great part of the floor, and I walked back and forth several times to make sure I had picked up all the tiny pieces. It made me think that sometimes our life seems to explode and splinter into tiny pieces, and we grieve and mourn the loss. It is difficult to put all the pieces back together and continue on with life. I think of the family who lost 2 children. I knew another family who years ago lost their 2 sons. I cannot relate to this, but God can. He sent his Son to this earth because of his love for us. Jesus had to pay a cruel death on a cross for our redemption. One of my favorite verses over the years has been 2 Corinthians verses 12-19, where the Lord tells Paul, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." May God's grace be present during this time of hardship. A thumbs up and a thumbs down today. Thumbs up to Kevin at Team Electronics for the great customer service. This is why I shop local. Janice Clark, Neepawa, Manitoba. A big thumbs up and appreciation to the library. Debbie delivers books to us every month, rain or shine. What a great service. Elks Manor Readers, Neepawa, Manitoba. If you would like to send a thumbs up or a thumbs down to an individual or group in the community, please send it our way. Submissions must include a name and must be under 100 words. We want to hear from you in person at 423 Mountain Avenue, Neepawa, by fax 204-476-5073, or by email neepawabanner.com, news@neepawabanner.com. Letters. NACTV provides pleasant programming. Hello, my name is Adrian Sajak, and I live in Winnipeg, and I wanted to let NACTV know how much my family enjoys its programming. Our family of 3 was blessed with twin boys this summer, and my mother has been living with us on weekdays since August. Often throughout the day, yours is the channel we turn to. We really enjoy the old-time dances and bandstand events that you show. The babies really enjoy watching the couples dance and listening to the music. We also enjoy the filming at the Neepawa Art Studio, Val's Adventures, and theater performances. Recently, you aired a video of a visit to Mumbai, India, and we enjoyed that also. Thank you for helping us entertain the little ones and for giving us something calm to have on the TV in the background. We love seeing the beautiful landscapes of our wonderful province. Adrian, Linda, Victor, Thomas, and Henry Sajak, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Let's do right. Let's do recycling right. I have been an avid recycler for as long as there has been a Manitoba Stewardship Program. And although we have seen the program evolve over the years, the basic principle has been consistent, and that is to reduce waste, or more commonly known as garbage. I read the article, Neepawa cracking down on recycling wrongs, in the banner with some strong reservations and disappointments. Just to illustrate what my immediate household does regarding recycling, we segregate all of the waste products by placing all compostable waste in proper bags and take them to the town compost site. We clean and remove labels from metal and glass containers, as well as crush the cans, separate boxboard, cardboard, and flyers into appropriate boxes to place in the appropriate bin. We shred print paper and bag, collect batteries, light bulbs to be driven out to the evergreen periodically. Now to find out that all that work can be for naught when someone contaminates a whole load of recyclables with our bin added is totally unacceptable. You say no fines, I say no. One warning and then escalating fine system to the point of removing that household ability to prejudice the program. If we are going to do it, recycle, let's do it right. By Adrian and Sandra DeGroot, Neepawa, Manitoba. Out of Helen's Kitchen. I'm just going to have a sip of water here while you take a moment to yourself. Helen Drysdale, out of Helen's Kitchen. Curling and Scotsman went hand in hand as curling evolved in Scotland. When the Scottish came to the Red River settlement, they brought their love of curling with them. Manitoba's long, cold winters and the many lakes and rivers ensured ice used for most of the... Oh, it's too far. It's too long a line for me. Let's see here. Rivers ensured ice on which to enjoy curling. In Canada, iron or wood curling stones were the stones used for most of the 1800s. Later, with railroad transport, granite stones from Scotland were becoming the norm and played far superior on the indoor rinks. In 1876 in Winnipeg, the Manitoba Curling Club was established. When matches were held, the tradition was the losers were obligated to donate a barrel of oatmeal to the hospital. In 1879 saw the annual Manitoba Bonspiel become the main event of the sport. In 1924, Winnipeg curler George Cameron thought that curling could help unite the West and the East. With some planning, the first Brier Men's Curling Championship competition was held in Toronto in 1927. Its sponsor was the McDonald Tobacco Company, and the name Brier came from a brand of pipe tobacco sold by the company. In 1979, the McDonald Tobacco Company, under scrutiny from the public and the government anti-tobacco campaign, reluctantly withdrew in support. Tim Hortons is the current sponsor of the Brier, and it has been held in every province at least once and in 31 cities from coast to coast. By the early 1900s, curling had become one of the most popular sports in Manitoba, and almost every town had an arena. Winnipeg was recognized as the curling center of Canada, and in 1902 and 3 from Scotland came a Scottish curling team captained by Reverend John Kerr. In Canada, the team played matches in 11 cities from Halifax to Winnipeg, and then played games in several American cities. The Scots lost more matches than they won, and in 1908, a Canadian team toured Scotland and won 23 of 26 matches. Curling was known as a man's sport, possibly due to the amount of whiskey said to have to be imbibed in bonspiels. Women's curling came into during World War I with many young men away, and soon enough women were curling to form a women's league. In Neepawa, in the fall of 1922, a group of ladies started up a ladies' curling club. It was not long before those ladies had a concession up and running and supplying soup, pies, cakes, and other goodies for fundraising. In Neepawa, about 1893, there was one outdoor sheet for curling, and over the years, several new rinks were built to accommodate the needs of the curlers. There were men's, mixed farmers, veterans, school, women's, and many more leagues in Neepawa and surrounding small towns. Tanis Brown remembers how pumped she was at her first curling game at the age of 8. The Inkerman 4-H group attended a fun day bonspiel at Helston, one sheet of ice and a very encouraging skip of Jim Devison. In those days of natural ice, the curlers hoped that there wasn't a warm spell, as the game would be difficult to play or canceled. Bernie Ross, a longtime curler member in the early 1970s, playing in an ardent bonspiel on a warm day with water on the ice. The opposition's Gilbert Platt threw the only rock that made it down the house and beat them with a score of 1-0. Curling was recreational, but it was also a social event. Farmers and the working man needed the break from their hard work, and socialization helped them keep up morale during trying times. The ladies just enjoyed getting out. The old-timers dropped by the rink to watch the curling and visit over a cup of coffee. The curling rink was a social center for both curlers and non-curlers. I am sure those ladies tried to outdo the other gals with their concession offerings, and I think this recipe would have impressed all the people buying a piece of this carrot cake. Orange carrot cake. You got your pen and paper ready? We will give you the recipe. 2 navel oranges, 3 cups grated carrots, 1 1/2 cups white flour, 1/2 cup whole wheat flour, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1 1/2 teaspoons cinnamon, 3/4 teaspoon cloves, 3/4 teaspoon allspice, 1 teaspoon salt, 4 eggs, 1 cup white sugar, 1/2 cup brown sugar, 1/2 cup sour cream, 1/2 cup vegetable oil, and 1 cup peanuts, walnuts, or raisins. Your method? Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Grate 1 tablespoon orange zest. Careful not to get the white pith in your zest. Peel the oranges, cut into pieces, and place in a processor. Process until the oranges are in very small pieces. Add the oranges and orange zest to the carrots and stir. Set aside. Mix the flour, baking powder, and soda, spices, and salt together. In another bowl, stir the eggs and sugar until well blended. Mix in the cream and the oil. Stir in the flour mixture and stir until blended. Gently add the carrot mixture and the nuts or raisins of choice. Grease and flour a 9 by 13 inch pan and pour the cake batter in it. Bake for 40 to 45 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the middle comes out clean. Ice with desired icing. Well, that sounds like a pretty good cake to me. Canada is at the back. Vaccine efforts leave much to be desired. Column Like I See 'Em by Aaron Devereaux. Is anybody feeling all that confident about Canada's procurement and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines right now? Because the updates we're all hearing from the federal government regarding their arrival over the next little while is not building much confidence in me. Last week, Major General Danny Fortin, the person leading vaccine logistics at the Public Health Agency, stated that Canada doesn't know how many Moderna doses the COVID-19 will arrive in the next weeks ahead. And this is actually the second time Moderna has short-dosed Canada. As Ottawa had previously indicated, we received 50,000 fewer doses of the promised vaccine 2 weeks ago. This news comes shortly after Pfizer, maker of the other COVID-19 vaccine approved for use in Canada, scaled back its shipments. Canada received no new doses of Pfizer during the week of January 25th, and the federal government told provinces to expect an 80% reduction in doses for the weeks of February 1st to February the 8th. Those announcements are not confidence builders in the least. Falling behind. The supply disruptions have derailed planned vaccinations and has Canada starting to fall behind other developed nations in the number of shots administered. According to data collected by the University of Oxford-based Our World in Data, February the 3rd update, we are ranked 24th globally on vaccines delivered per capita per 100 people. And that's just out of a list of 49 countries with verified distribution numbers. Now, for anyone who would argue that those results aren't so bad and that there are countries doing worse than us, that's kind of like saying that while we failed the exam, others in the class did much worse. So that makes our failure okay. The vaccine welfare line. Worse yet, Canada is a member of the group of G7, which should mean that we are a global leader, a shining example of other nations on how to prepare for and then tackle the crisis the right way. But unfortunately, it is quite the opposite. Canada is the only G7 country to take vaccines from the COVAX Fund, a global initiative created to guarantee developing countries have fair and equitable access to vaccines. The federal government bought into COVAX for $440 million back in September. The deal secures doses for Canadians, with the other half set to aside to help those buy doses for the 92 countries who need help. 5 of the 6 other G7 nations agreed to similar contracts, but Canada is the only one that needed to use it. Now, what we're doing with COVAX isn't illegal in regard to the terms of the deal, but it is not helping our global standing. The BBC and the Washington Post and other prominent international media outlets have headlines that are not painting Canada in the most positive light for cutting ahead in the vaccine warfare line. This is an initiative for nations that don't have the means or the clout to do the jobs themselves. Nations like Ethiopia, El Salvador, Sierra Leone, and Canada, apparently. Enough blame to go around. It would be easy enough to pin these failures solely on Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government, seemingly late to the game approach to acquiring COVID-19 vaccines. But it does go beyond them. And after all, there was a time when Canada had significant vaccine manufacturing capacity. Connaught Labs, based out of Toronto, was a leader in global research and development throughout most of the 20th century, right until it was privatized by Brian Mulroney back in 1986. Years later, Stephen Harper would follow that up with cuts to research and development funding, which resulted in more domestic capacity being lost. We do have some capacity in companies like Providence Therapeutics out of Ontario, but it's been underfunded and ignored for far too long. While the Conservatives do deserve some flack for the past decisions that have now come back to bite us, the Liberals must accept the lion's share of the criticism and learn from it. When Prime Minister Justin Trudeau famously expressed back in 2015 that Canada is back, I didn't think he meant back of the line when it comes to global esteem and credibility. Trudeau must recognize that this pandemic has exposed some real institutional problems that must be addressed. But above all, he needs to restore some confidence in the average Canadian that the government can actually deliver on a shot in the arm. Now we are loving every minute of it. Local pairs start a business in Gladstone amid the pandemic. By Kira Patterson, Neepawa Banner Press. And we have a picture of 2 young ladies holding a sold sign and a new owner sign in front of Clark's of Gladstone. It was interesting timing to start a new business, but Kinda Pollard and Catherine Smith didn't allow a global pandemic to put off their dreams. The 2 purchased the former Clark's of Gladstone flower and gift shop to open their own flower and gift shop and wellness store. Heart and soul balance, and have been keeping busy with it ever since. COVID-19 impacted Pollard's job directly, which was one thing that spurred the pair on to thinking about a new venture. And when the pandemic hit, I was running a canteen at the William Morton Collegiate part-time, and Kat was an early childhood educator at Happy Rock Children's Center in Gladstone. Kat continued to work through the pandemic, and I lost my job when the schools closed in March, noted Pollard. Digging deeper into our life plans. In addition to the jobs they had, Smith and Pollard are both Reiki masters and were taking clients in their spare time to the pandemic. And when that was no longer safe, we started digging deeper into our life plans, Pollard stated. For those unfamiliar, Reiki is a type of alternative medicine known as energy healing, where the practitioner lays hands on or very close to the client's body to help blocked energy flow, with the purpose of improving relaxation and reducing pain. Currently, Smith is also training to be a yoga teacher, while Pollard is a health and wellness coach, both having an interest in natural and holistic wellness. Pollard stated that the 2 had been partnering up over the past few years at craft sales and trade shows, and they knew they wanted to work together going forward. So in May of 2020, we came up with the name Heart and Soul Balance, which to us means the heart is the physical and the soul is the spiritual, and we seek to help people find the balance between the 2, Pollard explained. Once they created the brand, Pollard got the name and logo registered, and they created social media accounts to reach out to people. We didn't know yet what we were going to do with it, but we continued to dream, she expressed. Pollard added that one of her dreams was to open a crystal store and a wellness center. I heard a voice inside me. And one morning in July, I heard a voice inside me say, "You need to buy Clark's." I am pretty sure I said out loud, "What? Are you serious?" So I allowed myself to be open to the idea. I booked a viewing and dragged Kat with me, Pollard recalled. We looked at the building and business from a whole new perspective. A successful, well-established business that we could mold to whatever we desired, she said. And so we bought a business in the middle of a pandemic, and we are loving every minute. Learning new skills. Because Clark sold flowers, Smith and Pollard kept that aspect of the business. Despite having no previous experience with flower arranging, Pollard noted that the former owner of Clark's, Carol Stewart, trained them, and the two caught on quickly. So while the businesses remained a flower and gift shop, it has added to its repertoire with the changing of ownership. We are a flower and gift shop with crystals, wellness, and more, Pollard said. Opened up, then locked down. The two new owners took possession in mid-October and not long after had to close the doors due to the provincial COVID-19 restrictions. When Code Red hit, we had only been in the store 1 month, Pollard said. We locked our front door and got online. Posting everything we could think of and offering curbside pickup kept us busy through November and December. She noted that once the Christmas season was over, business slowed down a bit, allowing them to get some renovations done. We pulled out the paint and rollers and spruced up the place. We also built a room to offer Rikiki, foot detoxes, and more. And in the very near future, Pollard added, we are now open to the public again and happy to see people. Well, good for them. There's also an ad in here for a special Saturday sale, Saturday, February the 13th, at 243 Hamilton Street, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Neepawa Natives Cash Lottery. They are $100 each, or 3 for $250. The 50-50 is 5 for $50. They also offer team clothing, hats, hoodies, golf shirts, etc. Legacy team-worn jerseys are $150. There's also some household, some collectibles, and antiques. Please come in and see us or call 204-476-6214 for information. And yes, we can be open again. So that is the Emporium at 243 Hamilton in Neepawa, Manitoba. All right, so now we've got, looking back over the years. 1961. Okay, let's see. By Casper Warenhan, Neepawa Banner Press. 110 years ago, Friday, February the 10th, 1911. Verdun Flour Mill was burned on Tuesday. Franklin, Mr. Dingman and family moved to Neepawa this week. Oh, that was maybe Franklin's news? It is proposed to organize a women's institute in affiliation with the Northwestern Agricultural and Arts Association. Okay. News of the death of Rupert Leach came with startling subtleness on Wednesday, his relatives here having no intimation of his illness. He had determined some months ago to undergo surgical operation as soon as possible after the beginning of the year, when his absence from duty to the Free Press office would be least felt, and had passed the ordeal with every prospect of complete recovery. What caused the unexpected turn of events is not stated. His widow will have the sympathy of their many warm friends in Neepawa, where he passed his boyhood days. H.R. Rutledge has leased the Hotel Hamilton stable for a term of 2 years and will carry on a general livery and feed business there, as well as in the big barn opposite the King Edward. Mr. Rutledge evidently has some faith in the town. By acquiring his second stand, he will be in the way of farmers and traveling public on both business streets. And when there is congestion or storage shortage at one stand, there will be room or equipment in the other. It is a matter of indifference to Mr. Rutledge where the business is done. He is after it anyway and feels confident in his ability to take care of it whatever and whenever offered. 100 years ago, Friday, February the 11th, 1921. A good many stray horses have been advertised in the press this winter, but not all have been recovered. That is, that they are some horses foraging in the sandhills east of the old Operon School. 90 years ago, Tuesday, February the 10th, 1931. A 3-year-old boy kidnapped in Vermont 21 years ago recently discovered his parents, who are now living in Calgary. Oh. Winnipeg police were called out to quell a disturbance caused by 75 cloak workers who have been on strike for several days. 80 years ago, February the 11th, 1941. A German plane crashed near Erie recently, killing 5 members of the crew and seriously injuring the 6th. The Royal Air Force defied dirty weather for a second successive night, hammered at the big invasion port of Dunkirk and Cologne for 2 hours Friday night. Another contingent of Canadian, Australian, and British graduates of the Commonwealth Air Training Scheme has arrived in battle-girded Britain, raring for a crack at the Germans. It was reliably reported yesterday, but without official confirmation, that Britain had warned Bulgaria that passage of German troops through the country would bring British bombing of Bulgarian military objectives. Ardent news. Congratulations to Mrs. A.S. Neelands, who celebrated her 68th birthday Sunday, February the 9th. Arden. The death of Charles Wickland occurred Monday morning at his home in Arden. The funeral will be held Thursday afternoon in Austin. And that was 80 years ago. 70 years ago, Thursday, February 1951. Fred McLean, 74, Neepawa's chief of police for the past 21 years, died suddenly last Wednesday afternoon, February the 7th, at his residence here. A well-liked and respected citizen of the town for many years, Chief McLean was widely known in Manitoba and Western Canada, and his death is a distinct loss to the community. Active pallbearers were Sergeant S. Hilton and Sergeant L. Smythe of Brandon, Sergeant T.W. Johnson of Dauphin, Corporal K.A. Ferguson of Minnedosa, and Captain L. Hall of Gladstone, all members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. 60 years ago, February the 14th, 1961. Donald Flatt recently was elected to a 3-year term as councillor for the village of Glenella. The election was held during the village's annual meeting in the Municipal Hall. 50 years ago, February the 11th, 1971. A fantail pigeon owned by Tony Pankey was one of the most unusual birds in the poultry show at the Junior Rifle Club building this week. Neepawa Consumers Cooperative Limited officially opened the doors of their new store at 2 p.m. today, Thursday, and any who have not already been in the building should avail themselves of the opportunity. It is a fine asset to Neepawa's ever-changing business section. If Datsun mechanics can't travel to one of the 3 service training schools operated by Nissan Automotive in Canada, a service training school bus goes to the mechanic. Last week, the Datsun service bus was at Glenn's Neepawa Motors. Marlene Lewandowski, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Stanley Lewandowski of Bethany, graduated from St. Boniface General Hospital School of Nursing, January 22nd, 1971. She is now working at Fisher Branch, Manitoba. 40 years ago, February the 12th, 1981. Highways and Transport Minister Donald W. Orchard has announced a regulation specifying identification requirements for first-time applicants for a provincial driver's license. Under the new regulations, an individual must provide bona fide identification prior to receiving an authorized driver's license. With 8 inches of water in the basement, co-op store employees put shoulders and arms into supporting a hose from the town fire truck, which pumped water from the floor. I vaguely remember that. 30 years ago today, Tuesday, February the 12th, 1991. A backlog of surgery now faces doctors at the Neepawa Hospital following an end to the 31-day walkout by Manitoba nurses. Eric Gustafson, administrator of the 38-bed acute care facility, says surgery is backed up by 5 weeks because of the strike. Surgery will be back up for a while, said Gustafson, and nurses were off for 5 weeks, so it may take 5 weeks to catch up. 20 years ago, Monday, February the 12th, 2001. 2 longtime volunteers were recognized for their contributions to the community at last Friday's annual meeting of the Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce. The Citizen of the Year Award, sponsored by Beautiful Plains Credit Union, went to Pat Trail, while Murray Newton received the Community Service Award of Merit. That was offered by the Royal Bank. And we have a picture in the top right-hand corner, and it is team captain Freddie Kennedy, left, receives the first place trophy for the Tom Thumb tournament from BPOE Exalted Ruler Mac Murray on the right, on behalf of the Wellwood Brookdale Carberry Combines. Okay, now I've got my paper all messed up, so we'll just take a moment here and figure out where I am. It's a lot. Junior A Hockey and a History Book in the Making. By Kira Patterson, Neepawa Banner and Press. Rick Sparling, a former Neepawa resident, is working on his 5th book on the heels of finishing his 4th. The upcoming book will be about 30 years worth of team members from the Neepawa Neepawa Natives Hockey Club. His other books include one from the history of public school hockey in Neepawa, and one on amateur hockey, as well as one on the history of Neepawa businesses, in conjunction with Cecil Pittman and Norma Forsman. His 4th book, which is in the process of being printed and is expected to come out shortly, is a collection of articles he published in the Neepawa Press and Banner Press. The idea for the latest book was actually inspired by the Banner and Press's sports writer Aaron Devereaux, who had suggested a book on the history of the Neepawa natives during an episode of the NACTV production Story Behind the Stories. From there, Sparling collected team photos from the inaugural year in 1989-90 right up to the 2019-2020 season, with names included. Sparling is now working on contacting all the players and coaches he can to get their stories. Basically, the book will be a bio from everybody he noted. He hopes to get information on where they played hockey, minor hockey, and to where they moved on to from the natives and where they are now, in addition to any anecdotes or stories they have from their time with the Neepawa natives. I want to get at least half of the teams from each year, but I hope to include all of them if I can. So far, Sparling has put out 70 hours into contacting the 89 to 90 team and has reached all the members but one. He's also put out about 40 hours into 1990 to 1981 and has 5 or 6 members left to get in touch with from that year. He reached 45 team members in total so far between the years of 89 and 93. I'm finding that everybody I talked to has almost given me a page, he relayed. Sparling noted that his book will be about individual team members rather than team stats. But he added that there are some outstanding players with notable stats that he will include with their bios. As for when people can expect to purchase this book, Sparling said, I hope to get it done by next Christmas, but I really don't know. He added that it really depends on how long it takes to get in touch with team members. Anyone from the Neepawa Natives alumni, former players, coaches, executive members, billets, or some fans might have a story or two and call me, he expressed. Sparling can be reached at 204 668-6074. Huh. It goes like this. Westlake Gladstone area receives more funding from ECSF. By Kira Patterson, Neepawa Banner Press. The Big Grass Community Foundation recently distributed nearly $30,000 in grants to a dozen different organizations and projects in the Westlake Gladstone area. The money was from round 2 of the Emergency Community Support Fund distributed through the community foundations across the country. The municipality of Westlake Gladstone had several projects approved for the grant, most of which went through the municipal recreation branch. The municipality received $2,900 for 2 electrostatic disinfectant sprayers. Nicole Sellers, Recreation Director, noted that these sprayers leave no residue and very little odor. These sprayers will be used in the community halls, arenas, curling rinks, explained Sellers. After researching this product and hearing many positive reviews, we decided to put in an application for 2 that would be shared amongst all communities in Westlake Gladstone. The municipality received another $2,125 for more COVID-19 safety items, distributed between the communities of Langruth, Plumas, Gladstone, and Westburn. We have ordered floor decals to help remind individuals to social distance and 40 wall-mounted hand sanitizing units with some refills, said Sellers. These hand wash stations have been dispersed throughout all 4 communities in our municipality where the more vulnerable live, as well as recreation and leisure facilities, she added. With some of the money also went to purchase more soap and paper towels for the hand wash stations they purchased with the grant from ECSF Round 1. Recreation facilities. Of the grants the municipality received from BGCF, the round 2, 4 of them were for recreation facilities in the different communities they cover. A few things were purchased for the Plumas Lions Park, assisted by a $2,000 ECSF grant. They were able to order a shed to store community equipment in, and that will be used when the current restrictions allow. We have multiple sporting equipment as well as some outdoor LED lights to go under the new gazebo that has been built, noted Sellers. In Westburn, the municipality will purchase new hockey nets and netting for the arena with the help of a $440 grant. Meanwhile, in the Langruth rink, Sellers explained that they received $1,000 to help pay for some rubber walkways to allow for skaters to use 2 separate entrances without damaging their skates. The mats are made from recycled tires, which our municipality was proud to use to help support recycling efforts. I am very pleased we are able to work together to collaborate a plan to keep our community safe and see it through with great teamwork and help from grants like these, expressed Sellers. Money for the library. The municipality also helped the Gladstone District Library apply for a grant. The librarian, Shelley Ray, noted to the municipality that the library could use some more shelving to store cleaning supplies needed to keep the library COVID safe. Sellers stated the Westlake Gladstone helped the library receive a $400 grant from ECSF for this purpose. With the public touching books frequently and then return them, Shelley wanted to make sure that we have ample supply of disinfectant solutions to help stop the spread of the virus if it did cross the paths of the library, explained Sellers. Shelley is always thinking of the safety of our community and how it affects the daily ways in her job. We are very fortunate to have her in the community of Gladstone. PACs help out the school. 2 parent advisory councils, PACs, for a couple of local schools also applied for grants to help students enjoy more time outdoors. The Langruth Elementary and William Morton Collegiate packs received $775 and $2,300 respectively. What was that, Jeremy? Okay. Michelle Tricub of the Langmuth Elementary PAC noted that they applied for their grant to purchase a variety of outdoor sporting equipment for the school. We want to make sure these kids have sports equipment and equipment to play outdoors at a time when being outdoors is so important, Tricub explained. We're very grateful to the Big Grass Community Foundation for all the support they have given through the PAC and in their community in general. Shelley Bjarnson, chair of the WMCI PAC, noted that they purchased 2 sets of soccer nets for the Gladstone High School. When COVID-19 hit, we realized that we didn't have options for outside, she stated, so the school surveyed the students to see what outdoor equipment that they wanted. Soccer nets were one of the things that the kids really wanted, Bjarnson said. She noted that they decided that that's what they would purchase because it was one of the most feasible options and something they could get relatively quickly. When we heard about this COVID-19 grant, we jumped on it. A treat for the seniors. Third Crossing Manor in Gladstone received a grant for $1,200 from ECSF Round 2. Shirley Gunther, site head for Gladstone Health Centre, noted that they were able to treat the residents there with grant money. Third Crossing Manor was very grateful to receive funds in order to purchase Christmas gifts for the residents at Third Crossing Manor. Due to COVID-19, the manor was not able to hold a Mother's Day tea and Christmas bake sale, which usually provides the funds to purchase gifts for the residents, she explained, adding that the grant gave them enough money that they could purchase gifts for all the residents, plus the patients at Gladstone Health Centre. With so many restrictions in place, this was a very nice touch. Oh, wow. Continued from page 11. The Gladstone Seniors Drop-In Centre and the Plymouth Senior Support Services both received some funding to help them carry on. Gary Henderson, board chairman of the Gladstone Drop-In, noted that the $1,800 they received was to help them cover operating costs this year. We have no way of raising funds when the building is closed, Henderson stated. He added that they usually will have some dinners and events throughout the year to help earn some income to help cover the building costs, in addition to their annual membership fees. But this year, since they had to be closed for so long, they couldn't bring in enough to pay their expenses. This grant will be used to pay our taxes, our heat and light, and our insurance, he explained. The Plymouth Senior Support Services received $1,700 for round 2 of the ECSF. Brenda Ton, resource coordinator for PSSS, noted that this money was used to purchase a computer, which will allow her to continue to provide services for the community. It's sort of a way of staying connected with the community, Ton said. She explained that she will be using the computer to create the regular newsletters that PSSS sends out regularly to the community of Plymouth. She will also be able to do any research, filling out forms for the seniors, downloading resources, and whatever else needed to support the seniors in Plymouth. In addition to all of that, the computer will also have a webcam allowing her to virtually meet with seniors. We're very happy to be able to set the money and to be able to confident in our technology now going forward, said Ton. Helping social services help the community. The Gladstone Food Cupboard, run by the United Church and the Gladstone branch of the Salvation Army, were granted $1,000 and $5,000 respectively. The money for the food cupboard was used to replenish their stocks and be able to continue to help those with food insecurity in the area. They could not be reached for a comment before the publication deadline. Amanda Nottingale, Community Ministry Director for the Neepawa branch of the Salvation Army, of which the Gladstone branch is an extension, noted that the $5,000 grant from ESCF Round 2 helped cover costs in the Christmas hampers in the Westlake Gladstone area. 24 hampers filled Christmas meal supplies, and gifts went out to the area residents to make the holidays a little more special. Technologies purchased for the palliative care. Seven Regions Palliative Care received a $2,100 grant from Round 2 of the ECF to purchase a pair of laptops. In Round 1, Palliative Care received a grant to purchase 2 iPads, one for the hospital and one for Third Crossing Manor for long-term care patients to use to stay in touch with loved ones. The laptops will also be going to long-term care patients in the 2 facilities for the same purpose. They will be used mostly for communications, explained Leah Ham, Seven Regions Palliative Care Coordinator. She noted that the iPads are great, but there are some patients who have arthritis and have a hard time holding the iPad, so they thought that laptops on a trolley would be a great option for those cases. When the patients aren't using the laptops, Ham stated that the palliative care volunteers will also benefit from their use by accessing educational resources to help them provide their services. Ham expressed that palliative care is very happy to be able to access funding to purchase this equipment. We are super thankful that there are COVID grants available for organizations, she said. Daycare makes safety improvements. 3 daycares in the Westlake Gladstone area have received grants from ESFF Round 2 as well. The Happy Rock Children's Center in Gladstone was allotted $1,450 to purchase an electrostatic atomizer. Sheena Kopitko, early childhood educator at Happy Rock, noted that the disinfectant sprayer will help them clean the facility more effectively. We've done some research and it was getting later in the year, so we couldn't be outdoors as much, so we needed to look at safer ways of spending time indoors. The atomizer misses everything, and because it's electrostatic, it clings to surfaces, so it covers everything, so we don't have to move tables and chairs. It has been a great addition to our program. Plumas Daycare and Lakeview Children's Center in Langruth also received $1,600 and $2,200 respectively. Kendra Crooks, the director at Plumas and ECE2 at Langruth, said that they got a number of things at each facility with the grants. In Langruth, they are in the process of purchasing tables and chairs, new shelving, craft supplies, more cloths for drying hands, automatic sanitizing stations, cleaning supplies, and a new vacuum. Plumas is also getting cleaning supplies, art supplies, automatic soap dispensers, sanitizer stations and cloths, as well as new lockers and a new bed and bedding. The bulk of these items at both locations will help reduce the need to share items and increase the ability for kids to physically distance. It was a huge help to be able to get what we need and not worry about any more restrictions. Crooks expressed it is nice to be able to continue our programming and not have to worry about the kids are able to spread it out. Now, I only have 2 minutes left. So in the Help Wanted, Turtle River School Division is looking for, invites applications for a McCurry School grades 3-4 term teacher, a bus driver training incentive program. Beautiful Plains has got a registration for kindergarten in the fall going on. Neepawa Employment Opportunity is looking for a Neepawa Public Works Supervisor. Neepawa Gladstone Co-op is looking for a part-time office clerk, filing clerk. They are also looking for a part-time grocery clerk and a part-time delivery clerk. High Life is looking for meat cutters and production personnel. There is an obit for Herbert George Osmond from May 4th, 1934, passed away February 8th, 1921. The Community Profiles Madison Menzies by Gladwin Scott, Neepawa Banner Press. Madison Menzies, 17, is an honors student at the Carberry Collegiate Grade 12 graduating class. She has been studying from home online since mid-November. Her second semester is with heavy load with biology, 2 math classes, essential and applied, global issues, and 2 band classes, regular and jazz. Madison plays the flute and tenor saxophone and has 3 instruments at home, the keyboard, the ukulele, and the kalimba. Positive influences on Madison have been her parents, Justin and Joni, plus some very understanding teachers. She has had a great working relationship with her music teacher, Justine Burke, over several years. Future plans include a year of employment and then studies at the University of Biology and History. He's one of our 4, always crazy and daring, a softy at heart and a son who is caring. Once a boy with a mullet and a face full of stubble, who's always had fun trying to stay out of trouble. It is hard to believe that soon this guy will be having a birthday and turning 45. And if I had to make a guess, I would guess it's a Hall. But that's just a guess. It says, love your family. There is no name. We do have a notice of public auction sale of arrears of lands. Neepawa being lots 7 and 9. Oh, there's a lot there. It's offered arrears of taxes $11,629. Assessed value, tax services. There was a good story here on Here and There by Gladwin Scott. You'll have to get the paper and read all of this. There's much more in this paper than I have given you. I did not read on the Neepawa Golf and Country Club will host a provincial amateur golf championship. I did not read our disappointing headlines, The Way We See It by John Felstead. And I did not read the Manitoba Teachers Society funding falls short. And I did not read Love Your Neighbor as Yourself. So if you are in the community and you can pick up a Neepawa Banner Press for February the 12th, there's still lots more in there for you to cover. And that will be our reading of the news for this week. Thank you, Jeremy. Pretty close?